Car dealers are literally scrambling. Yes, they're trying to incentivize their 2023s. They can't even sell 2024s. Walk down the car lots. You see the lots are full of brand new trucks and SUVs. Some of those are 24s, but there's still lots of 2023 model years hanging around. And not only are these manufacturers trying to incentivize for you to buy new vehicles, but as a matter of fact, now there's this whole new Nissan Rogue syndrome, if you will, where Nissan's now incentivizing the sales of this overabundance of 2023 Nissan Rogues. So not only are you, the customer, potentially getting some of these incentives, but a lot of these incentives are actually going right to the dealer. As we evolve into 2024, there's no secret that incentives are the name of the game. Obviously, sales are down. We have all these backlots full of a very expensive stepped up vehicles, obviously with all the maximum features and options. That's what manufacturers are doing the last 2 or 3 years, was selling only the premium versions of all their models. And a lot of these manufacturers are doing away with a lot of their entry-level vehicles because it takes time, it takes money, and actually make a lot more money on a highly decked out vehicle. Like right here, for example. Let's take another look. Okay, what do we got here? Okay, this one's 66 grand. That's talking a little bit, still kind of pricey. We're dealing with 4x4. This is a pretty standard looking unit. Nothing too crazy going on here. This is a Grand Cherokee, as you see right here. They've got some glossy rims on there. It's a good looking unit. I shared a couple weeks ago some amazing incentives that you can get some great deals as a customer. For example, a lot of Hyundais and Kias are offering incentives on leasing and financing as well as cash back for a lot of their brand new vehicles 2024, but even more so some great deals on 2023. We also know Dodge and Ram, Chargers, Challengers, Durangos, pickup trucks. 2023 is a tough year and they still have lots left to sell. So we're also seeing example vehicles like the Santa Fe Hyundai Hybrid with a $2,750 cash back on their 2023s. A lot of these dealers are also offering a better finance incentives as well, where they're offering much better, much sharper rates on a lower time frame. I've been shopping around at some local Dodge Chrysler dealers lately, and I want to share, when you look over on some of the lot here and you're seeing brand new 2023 Ram 1500 Classic Warlock truck, fully decked out, beautiful unit, definitely has all the nice bells and whistles and the touches. That had an MSRP back in 2023 of about 75 grand, but now the dealer's offering it for $61,000. That's a huge $14,000, $15,000 discount. You haven't even sat down and negotiate. There's other ones like 1500 Night Rebel, $86,000 was the sticker, down to 77 grand. You can save 9,000 there. They're getting desperate. More examples. Another one I found is a 1500 Ram Warlock Classic 4x4 Hemi that actually stickered around $69,000 on now for yours, 52 grand. That's right. Brand new stickers on the windows as well as plastic on the seats. There are so many deals right now for you, the customer, and I've been sharing this with you. I've always said this, right? Catch it at the end of the year or catch the old model year as they transition into the next model year. That's where you're going to get the best deals, is going for those outgoing vehicles, those outgoing years and generations that they're trying to pitch, because they're all trying to move on to their next model years. We also can't forget, by the end of 2024, we're already at first quarter in. About another 6 or 8 months, and we'll be starting to look down the barrel of 2025 model years. So 23s hanging around are a real problem. I see another 1500 Tradesman for about 10 grand off. I've seen also another 1500 SLT Dodge for 72 grand regular, down to $57,000. Do you like Dodge Durangos? How about the RT version that went from $79,000 down to $69,000? Huge discounts there too. We've also seen that in some locations, Gladiators are getting a special discount too. And we've seen 23 model years go as little as $15,000 off of sticker. But if you would believe it or not, I'm actually stumbled across a couple that were listed at $1,000 or $2,000 above MSRP. So there's still those dealers that are out of touch and they're still trying to sell some of those vehicles. And the idea of market adjustment fee literally is a thing of the past. I wouldn't even be looking at that. I wouldn't be thinking about that, because that's likely not going to even be practical. And anybody putting a market adjustment fee on there is just clearly out of touch with what's going on in the industry right now. We've got to be competitive, and certainly that gives you and I, the customers, maybe buying that new pickup truck or SUV or Jeep or car, is going to give us much better deals this year in 2024. But those are all dealer to customer incentives. What about OEM to dealer incentives. Yes, the actual push and bearing down. Well, we know some of the dealers like Ford's been pushing on some of the dealers to continually bearing down on some more. And even when the dealers are saying we can't take those, the manufacturers are saying, no, you need to take those. We've got to sell these vehicles. But beyond that, now there's actual dollar incentives for some of these dealers to keep pushing harder. Yes, Nissan is actually saying that there's about 24,000 Nissan Rogues, their little mid-size SUV that they're trying to pitch. They're trying to move down the road. They're not selling enough. There's not too many have been sold this year in general. And there's now $1,000 incentive thrown for every sale, every transaction to pitch a brand new 2023. And all this is actually adding additional pressure because while the OEMs are pressing down on the dealers to pitch these 2023s and really put a concerted effort into selling these, and here's your $1,000, thank you very much. The worst part is now that puts pressure on the 2024s, and they're going to be even harder to sell. When you get a greatly highly incentivized 2023, whatever that local dealer's trying to do to push that and promote that vehicle, that just means that's one less buyer for that 24 model year. So that just means additional pressure, and they might just be delaying the inevitable of where they just can't sell 2024s either. They might be in a real world hurt, but for the time being, Nissan is offering $1,000 incentive. Now this is just the small end of the wedge, and I think what we're starting to see is what we're seeing in the industry is more old school tactics, more aggressive tactics, more push and pressure on the dealers at the ground level to keep pushing and hustling their products. You know what? There has been no shortage of times where I've walked up to a dealership. Now, I'll tell you straight up. I've had experiences where I've walked up to, a Porsche dealer, and you could walk around for an hour and they could seem to care less. They're just sort of that type of dealer. But then I've walked up to a Dodge dealership. I'm not even outside of my vehicle. I basically put it in park, and I've got 3 salesmen walking right towards my vehicle. So we know there's a lot of pressure tactics, and certain manufacturers seem to really gravitate to that effort of pushing the product line and hustling and the push and the efforts. And I feel like some of these brands are like that. It feels like Nissan's going to be a push. It definitely feels like, the Dodge, Chrysler, Jeep, Fords. A lot of the big 3s are going to be typically like that as well, from my experience. GM maybe not as much, but you're definitely going to have a lot more pressure tactics, sale tactics. You're definitely going to want to be aware of some of those quick and fast sleight of hand tricks that some of the dealers might be pulling, four square tactics, and a lot of other fast talking techniques to get you to sign on the dotted line. Now, with that said, of course, Nissan's quoted as saying that they don't plan to make this an ongoing regime and they don't plan to do this throughout. But with all of that said, of course, Nissan Rogue does take up about 1/3 of their total sales, and they're actually at 46% increased in sales on the Nissan Rogue since 2022. They're not clearly struggling in selling these, but there is a strong push on selling more product. And this is going to be a common theme that we're seeing across the board. Doesn't matter if you're talking about Nissan or looking at Rams. I'm seeing lots of incentives all throughout. Now, again, a lot of incentives for the customer to buy the car, but more incentives now are coming from the OEMs to pressure the dealers themselves to trickle down effect. I mean, we're going to see more and more of these different techniques, and you're just not sure where it's coming from. But the bottom line is these dealers are scrambling, they're nervous, they're having a tough time selling cars, and hence all the incentives, discounts, lower reduced interest rates, throwing in extras. And so time will tell. I do anticipate some strong incentives, some great deals as the year goes on. And I keep adding to the fact that what we're going to talk about is interest rates at some point have to go down again. Canadian, US banks are all considering maybe readjusting interest rates. So if you get to the point where the tipping edge and they get right, well, they're getting good and they drop the interest rates and you've got all these incentives in front of you, that may be the best time to buy. So that right now is an okay time to buy. But you wait 6 months, it might be a much better time to buy. And with all of that said, right there, check that out. Why, in fact, there are still some dealers that have no intention of dropping their prices. Are they going to be obsolete? Maybe go out of business? We'll see. Hope to see each and every one of you on the next one. We'll see you real soon. Bye-bye.